Swoohoo! What's up, YouTube? It's SwooCube here, and I am talking another starter deck today. This one is for Chirrut. Now, this project is a collection of decks that I've crafted to play well with the Luke and Vader starter decks. So they are designed to be kind of on the same level in terms of power. They're designed to be very flavorful, to play well to the leader's strengths and provide kind of a different flavor of gameplay than what you get with the starter decks, but to be able to play games with the starter decks. So this is my fourth video in the series. I've got many more to come. But today we specifically are talking about Chirrut, and I'm really excited about this one because Chirrut has been really, it's been the most challenging deck for me to craft and balance in a way that works with these leaders. So let's talk about Chirrut real quick so you can get a sense of why that is. Right, Chirrut, and I'm actually going to focus on his unit side, right? So Chirrut is a 5 resource deploy unit. That's a 3/5, and his ability is kind of opaque at first. During the action phase, he isn't defeated by having no remaining HP. What that means is that Chirrut can take an infinite amount of damage, and he won't be defeated until you regroup for the turn. You end that action phase, which actually makes Chirrut a very, very good candidate for upgrades because you can put a lot of power on Chirrut and you're almost always able to attack with him. So he's quite strong when he is buffed up and carrying lightsabers and other upgrades that the game has to offer. So that is kind of the way Chirrut plays. Now, this strategy, this kind of go tall, put all the upgrades on one unit strategy is inherently difficult to balance because sometimes it all comes together, sometimes it doesn't. And either you just destroy the opposing deck. What I've found in testing is that there's a tendency to destroy the opponent or to just be destroyed by the opponent. And not a whole lot of in between. So I've done a lot of iterating, and I think I've actually come on a deck that works pretty well. So without further ado, I'm going to talk about my Chirrut list. Oh, the base. Catacombs of Cadera, of course, on Jedha. So Chirrut is a vigilance aggression deck. Now, let's talk about the units. Chirrut has less ground units than every other deck that I've crafted. And that's intentional. Chirrut himself is kind of supposed to be the focus, the most powerful piece of the ground combat. And so the rest of the units are kind of designed as support for him. We've got 2-1B surgical droid to heal him up a little bit, an R2-D2 and a C-3PO just to be early kind of defensive units that can get you to the cards you want. Spec Force Soldier as a 2-of. This can kind of help Chirrut get past Sentinels. A Rebel Pathfinder also to get past Sentinels. And then 3 copies of Guardians of the Wills. That rounds out kind of the turn 1 plays. For the turn 2 plays, 3 drops. We have 1 Cloud City Wingguard, 2 Yodas, and that is it. On turn 4, we have 3 Baze Malbus, of course, very flavorful. Kind of have to have 3 of him in. 1 Kanan Jarrus, and then on 5 we have 1 Vigilant Honor Guard. So we are notably pretty light on units. That's intentional. Again, the kind of the feel that I'm going for with this deck is that Chirrut is kind of standing alone before an army of troopers, like he does in Rogue One, right? He kind of single-handedly fights off a lot, and that's the feel that I was really going for here. The feel of the deck is not too dissimilar from a Chirrut red deck like you'd see in Premiere. Obviously, it's kind of a down-powered version of that. But that is kind of the inspiration as well, right? It can play aggressive, it can play defensive, it can kind of play somewhere in the middle. But it really, Chirrut is the one who has to get it done. So anyway, I'm going to quickly look at the upgrades that we use, primarily for Chirrut, but also to throw on other units as well. 1 Protector. You notice in this deck you're paying 3 for this because it's a double blue card and this is a blue-red deck. So you do get hit with the aspect penalty, but as a 1-of, it's very worth it. 1 Luke's lightsaber. There's no Luke in this deck, so it's just for the buff. 1 Infiltrator skill. This is actually one of the best cards in the deck with Chirrut. Being able to slide past a Sentinel's huge. 2 Jedi lightsabers. One of the most powerful things this deck can do is slap a Jedi lightsaber on Chirrut or Yoda or Kanan as kind of backup force units. There's 1 Electro Staff, 1 Entrenched, 2 Resilient, and 2 Devotion. So you'll notice there are quite a lot of upgrades. And that is really, the way this deck wins is by slapping upgrades on units, hopefully Chirrut, but if not, maybe your Yoda or your Kanan or your Baze. But just, you got to make a unit big by adding cards to it. So that's kind of the game plan. For the events, we have 2 takedowns, 3 make an openings, 2 open fires, 1 it binds all things, and 1 force throw. It binds and force throw are force spells or force events that you need to have a force unit on the field to get full effect of. This deck has a number of cheap force units in Guardian of the Wills, Yoda, Kanan, and also, of course, Chirrut himself. They're very, very powerful, so they're only in here as one-offs, and they can be some of the swingiest plays you make in the game. I also have 1 copy of Forced Surrender. This one's a little bit different. It doesn't really fit the theme so much, but I found that by the stage of the game that you've played Chirrut, oftentimes you need to refill your hand. And this is just a good way to do it. It fits really well in the deck. I like the way it plays. So sometimes, everything can't be perfectly flavorful in terms of the art and the theme and what it's doing. So there are the events. Oh wait, there's 2 more events. Best cards in the deck. 2 of the forces with me. These are absolutely nuts with Chirrut. Sometimes they just feel straight up unfair, but this is like obviously the bombiest thing you can do. I started as a 3 of because it's like Chirrut's card, but it was just too good. I had to kind of scale it back a little bit. So that's the events. And finally, the space units. 2 distant patrollers, which kind of act like a delayed shield that can put out some damage. Very, very good. Most of our units are blue. 3 restored arc 170 for some heal. 2 Starwing Scouts. The deck needs card draw. Dropping a bunch of upgrades on units can tend to empty your hand pretty quick. So there's 2 copies of Starwing Scout. You need to be a little bit strategic to control initiative, but it can be very, very strong. And then lastly, 3 System Patrol Craft to give you some defense in the air. There's really no cards on their own are super, super high power, able to close out a game without the help of these upgrades. And Chirrut is obviously the main focus there. So that's the deck. It's a very, very unique play style. I feel like it's fairly balanced with the field. Give this deck a few games before you judge it. You might get a weird game or 2 at the beginning. I've run dozens of games in testing with this deck to kind of get it where it's at, where I feel like, it kind of fits in with my stable of battle box decks and is fun, for both players, the defending player and the player piloting the deck. That's key, right? You want everyone to be having a good time here. So it's very, very unique play style. Probably not the deck that I would start with teaching a new player the game, but certainly a very cool deck to bring in after they've had a few games with Luke and Vader and want to have kind of a different flavor of gameplay. And this is absolutely one of my favorites to play. So that's it. That's all I got today. Thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. I'll put the deck list down in the comments, and I will be back soon with more decks.